I'm excited about people tuning up their computers, and I think it's a right thing to do. I do tune-ups on both of my computers on Sunday afternoon, but sometimes this picture says it all. I'm going to cover Windows 7, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10. And this slide number 3 just gives you an idea of the things that I'm going to talk about for the next 45 minutes, and where you go in the slide presentation, what page you go to start that subject. Why do we need to tune up our computer? Well, the same reason that we need to tune up our car occasionally. We have to make sure we want it to run at its peak efficiency. And Microsoft, like other big corporations, has a habit of saving everything on your computer. For what reasons, we're not too sure, but sometimes you also go in and save software, or you take software off, and all of these kind of interactive things happen to make your computer cluttered, and it needs to get a little of the wear and tear taken out. So as Gene Barlow was saying earlier this morning, or earlier this noontime, one of the first things that you should do when you get ready to do a system performance tune-up is you should look at doing a system image or a system backup if you haven't done one in a while. Why? Well, simply because if you do something in the tune-up and it doesn't come out right, you can end up with a copy of your operating system that's got a problem, and you can always go back. Normally when I get ready to do a system tune-up, I set my own restore point, and then I do a backup and a system image, or both. And yes, just like Gene Barlow said earlier, both will copy corrupted files and viruses. So I'm in the habit of running a scan and getting my computer cleaned up before I back it up. If you haven't realized it by now, yes, Microsoft is very happy to help us all with system backups for settings and files, etc. These are the kind of references I'm going to give throughout this presentation. And if you go to these websites that are supported by Microsoft, you will see the latest and greatest information on how to use the built-in program on your computer to back it up. You got to check the hard drive. You know, the spinning widget is what I call it. Or if you have a SSD, solid state device, then yes, those need checking too. Little health checks, because a spinning widget or an SSD, all of them will sooner or later fail on you. So there's some built-in software called SMART, Self-Monitoring Analysis and Reporting Technology. And again, the free software is available so that you can do those kind of checks. And just to be sure we understand what we're talking about, here I have a picture of a spinning widget on the left-hand side and a solid-state memory on the right-hand side. Between Joyce and I, we have 2 laptops. She's got a spinning widget, and I have solid-state memory on mine. So there are some websites available on the internet that you can go to check out your hard drive or your storage device, whatever you want to call it. And some of these are for SSDs, and some of them are for both. I've used the Crystal Disk Mark once or twice, and I like it. It's very informative. The rest of these devices are software programs that you can run. I have not checked out. I've only used the one on the top, but I liked it. Windows has some built-in tools that you can use in Windows 7, 8.1, or 10 that will check the logical health of the files on your drive. They won't check the drive itself, but they'll check the files on the drive. And this is called check disk. Check disk goes in and takes a look at some checks that you have in your different packets on your files, and then it does a sum check itself. And if there's a problem, it'll correct it. This is how check disk runs. So if you want to do a check disk, the first thing you have to do is open up your Windows Explorer or your File Explorer, depending on what system you're using, and select this PC and look at your hard drive. You right-click your hard drive, go down to Select Properties, and then you get this little display over here on this side, which is Operating System Disk C Properties. And you click on the Tools tab and click on Check for error checking, and off it'll go and do an error check. Now, in some operating systems, what you get when you click on that Tools and then the Check, which is this box here, the check, it comes up with a little display and it says, hey, the next time you restart or start your PC, we'll do a check disk. Well, if you're interested in doing the check disk, go ahead and hit restart. And when it comes up, it'll do a check disk for you. It's not a long program. It doesn't take a long time to run. So get in the habit of periodically checking the files on your computer to make sure they're complete and they're not corrupted. Updates and downloads. Again, Microsoft, and the support Microsoft.com, English, US, help 10164 will give you a step-by-step on how to fix Windows update errors. Yes, Microsoft has been in the habit of sending updates out to all of the Windows users, and sometimes they create errors. So this is a good reference. But you are responsible for the patch and update of all software on your operating system. And in order to do that, you have to be able to understand where the update key is. Sometimes it's in the Start menu, sometimes it's in the program itself under the help of your menu, and sometimes you have to go to the control panel. If you're going to do Windows updates, then Windows 10 has made that very easy for you, and you can also check and see what updates you have and which ones are available. It's a good idea to keep that information foremost in your mind so that you know that you're not behind the times. Now, I've had some people say to me, if I have an operating system and I do an update, they're going to change something, then I have to learn something new. And I'm sorry to say, yes, that happens sometimes, but most updates also are created so that you have better security because they found a hole in the software someplace. One of the things that you need to understand is when Microsoft does an automatic update on your PC, the first thing they do is set a restore point. So if you get an update and it's not working right, go look at your restore point and take it back to the previous to the update. You got to check out all those other software programs too. And sometimes the updates don't come automatically, especially if you have the free edition. Pay for the edition of that software, you probably get the updates automatically. There are some tools there. Seg3 and CNET's Tech Tracker. I like Seg3. I've used it numerous times to make sure all of my software and drivers are up to date. I've never used CNET's Tech Tracker because I don't like an automatic update tool. I like to choose which updates I'm going to do and why I want to do them. Sometimes your computer is saying, I need an update to a program that you have not completely taken off your computer or you no longer use. And if you're not going to use that program, why should you take an update for it? If you don't know what a program is that's on your computer and you want to find out about it, then, go onto the internet. I use Google. I like Google search. And go onto the internet and get in Google search or any other search engine that you like to use and put in the word review as an example, bonjour review. And you'll get a heck of a lot of information about that program and what it does. For years, I have told people a good website to go to download information off the internet was filehippo.com. Now I've changed my way because I like Ninite. When you take a look at that, you'd like to say Ninite, and I can remember when I was a young man what Ninite meant to me, but Ninite is also a secure site, and when you go to Ninite, they don't cover everything that's free, but they cover quite a few programs, as you can see, that are free. You put a check mark in front of that program. You can choose as many as you want. And then you scroll down the page a little bit and you hit the Get Your Ninite. And off it goes, and it downloads the programs from a secure site into your computer and installs them with no piggyback software. Piggyback software is that software that pops up after you've downloaded something that you didn't even know you were going to get. Whoopee. Check your defenses. I ran a password test on all of the websites that I have passwords for that could get me in trouble if somebody else found out what my password was. And it took an hour or so, but yes, I'm going to give you some references to that. Make sure your firewall is turned on and your router modem is secure. We're going to cover that. How secure is my password? That's a good website right there at the top. And it liked some of the passwords I had, and it didn't like some of the others. How big is your haystack? I don't know why they use that term haystack, but I've run that program once and it was very informative. A lot of information about my passwords and how secure they think it is. Password meter, I have not used it, but the bottom line is upgrade your passwords so that they are more secure. Probably we'll see in the very near future that the overall system is going to go to pass phrases instead of just passwords. Firewall. You need to have your firewall on. The firewall can be two different pieces of software. One is in your modem router and the other one's on your computer. The firewall protects you from known sites that, in fact, will give you headaches. And we have a couple testing tools listed there that you can check and make sure that your firewall is on. In 7, 8.1, and 10, normally you can go and look at whether your firewall is on or not in the control panel or settings. I always keep these online antivirus scanners handy. In fact, I've printed this page out and I hang it not too far away from where my computer sits. And here's what I'm saying. I use an antivirus, no problem. But sometimes my antivirus doesn't catch something, and if I think something's a little squirrely, then I'll go and get one of these three, and I've used all three of them, scanners from the internet, and I'll run them once. Now they can take a couple hours to do a full scan, but they're very complete. And once you use one of these from ESET, Microsoft, or Trend Micro, then you need to get rid of it. Take it back off your PC if it's downloaded on your PC, or don't use it again. These three organizations keep these scanners up to date on a daily basis. And so they can catch stuff that just hit the internet and help protect you. Router checker. Seeing a lot of routers come out nowadays, even from your ISP, and they have a WPS button on the top. Stay away from the WPS, okay? Also, of course, when you get your internet service provider's router, if you're going to rent one from them or you get your own, you got to make up your own name for the network and your own passphrase. So I called up Comcast, because that's who I have my router from, and I said to them, I want my own name and my own passphrase, and they said fine. And now Comcast has a website to do that. You go to their website, you can do it, no problem. And then when people come to visit you at your house, you can say, oh, my password is JereNet, or excuse me, my name of my network is JereNet, and my passphrase is, I'm not going to tell you. So that's the way it is in my house. Free up drive space. Wow, just clean up. And I just noticed in the creators download that I got from my Windows 10, they have automatic disk cleanup going on. It's known by different names. Here's a picture again of a hard drive, the C drive, the HDD, etc. This thing needs cleaning out frequently so that it doesn't become overloaded and slow down what you're trying to do. So you can use disk cleanup. I use disk cleanup every Sunday, and sometimes, depending on how much I use my computer before Sunday rolls around, I got a lot of stuff that gets cleaned up. Now, does this mean I don't have to run CCleaner? No. But disk cleanup was developed by Microsoft. It's a good tool. It's very complete, and the tool that's available now in 7, 8.1, and 10 will also get rid of updates on your computer that you no longer need, and that saves you some space. Okay, uninstall apps you no longer need. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, but yeah, this is good. I've had many experiences of people having an awful lot of programs on their computer, and they have no idea what those programs are for. You know, your computer is like a filing cabinet, and every once in a while you got to go in and clean it up. So you archive or delete files, you put them up in OneDrive, because if you got a Windows computer, you have a OneDrive free 5 gigabytes, or you move them to a removable drive. And that's what I do. I have all of my backups on a Western Digital removable drive. And the only time I have that drive connected to my PC is when I'm doing a backup. So here's a step-by-step on how to run disk cleanup. I'm not going to spend any time on this page. I'm going to show some pictures. If you go on the right-hand side, and you do the old Windows logo key and X on your keyboard, you'll get this pop-up that looks like the black one on the right-hand side, Windows 10. And you want to go down to Run. Windows 7 or 8.1, you see it over here on the left-hand side. There's a couple ways to run a disk cleanup. I'm going to show you one. If you've never run it before, give it a try. Once you click on Run, that was showing in a previous slide, then you get this kind of dialog box. And this dialog box says talk to me. So you type in Clean Manager, CLEANMGR, and then you hit the OK button. And it runs off, and what you get initially is this dialog box that you see on the upper left-hand side, a disk cleanup. And you'll see the words changing below the line where it says scanning, and that'll change. And then when that calculation is complete, you get the disk cleanup window that's on the right-hand side. Now, if you've never done disk cleanup before, you'll find that there's a lot of things in that list that are not checked. I highly recommend you check them all. If you'd like to know what they are, when you highlight, you get a description. I've got set up log files highlighted, and it says files created by Windows. So you can go down the list, and I click them all. I put a check mark on every one of them. And notice you have a scroll bar over here, so there's quite a few things in that list. And then you can click on the OK button down at the bottom, and it'll run off and do disk cleanup for Windows. All right. If you run it a second time, again, using Clean Manager in your Run dialog box, you'll come up with a different set of data to clean up the system files, okay? And this is temporary internet files, delivery, optimization files, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And not shown on that list because it's down below on the scroll is the thing that gets rid of previous Windows updates that are no longer required. Now, if you really want to go further into it, you can also do a disk cleanup on more options, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. So you click on that tab, and you get what's on the right-hand side of the screen. More features, programs and features, okay? And that's where it's going to take you into programs and features and remove programs that you do not use and get rid of some of your system restore and shadow copies. Depending on how big your system restore and shadow copies file is, you know, sometimes that helps to get rid of that stuff that is accumulated in there. Again, you'll see disk cleanup in progress. And as it's going on down the line, you can read what it's doing, and then it just disappears and you're back to your previous screen or your desktop. Every computer has a startup file. And the startup file is where the computer goes to see what it should bring up and run in the background when you boot up or turn on your PC. Now, most companies want their software to be running in the background so that you can instantly go to that program and it'll start. So if you do a startup folder cleanup, which I'm going to show you how to do, you have to understand you're not getting rid of the program, you're taking it out of the startup folder so that it no longer starts up when you start up your PC and no longer drains your system resources, slows down your program speed, etc., etc., etc. My Windows 10 laptop will go from a dead cold start to fully operational in 13 seconds. And that's pretty good. How to disable startup? How to Geek. I like the website. I use it a lot. And How to Geek is good about going through step by step. This one article covers all 3 operating systems for Windows: Windows 7, 8.1, and 10. If you haven't taken a look at that, that's a good place to go to run the startup cleanup. Again, you're going to go to the run command, which we brought out before by doing the Windows logo key and X. And then instead of this time, you type in msconfig, which stands for Microsoft Configuration. and click on the OK button. And when you do, in Windows 7, you're going to get this kind of display. Now, it may not come up with the Startup tab. It might come up with the General Boot Services or Tools tab, but you need to select the Startup tab. And once you do, you're going to see all of the programs that could be running in the background on your computer. And notice over here on the right-hand side, we don't have a whole lot of things that are showing. And scroll down, and there's many programs. Okay, so I went through this list. This is a screenshot off my computer. I went through the entire list, and I shut down, turned off, however you want to say it, the programs that I did not think I would need running in the background. And then I said, okay, and pop-up you're going to get after you do this unchecking is going to say you need to restart your computer for these things to take effect. So that's cool. Now I can tell you that if you go into MS-config in Windows 7 and click on disable all things in the startup and then say okay and restart your computer, it'll still run. No problem. Remember, you're not getting rid of the program, you're just taking it out of the startup file. And the reason you want to do that is because, yes, there are some programs out there running that can give you problems. This is what is a screenshot of MS Manager Executive that I had on the computer. And you can see that there's only one of them that's good. All the rest of them would have some kind of ill effect malware on my computer. Now, think about it. If I'm a hacker and I want to put a program on your computer, am I going to call it Trojan number 1? Am I going to call it Malware 2020? No. I'm going to give it a name so that maybe you'll look at that name and accept it. If you do a system configuration screen in 8.1 or 10, again, you do the old MS-config, and then you get this display. And if you go to the Startup tab, then you'll probably see Open Task Manager. Microsoft made a vast improvement in the MS configuration, system configuration, between Windows 8.1 and 10. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second. You don't have to go to system configuration to do that. You can go down to your taskbar. You can right-click the taskbar, select Task Manager, and select the Startup tab. And when you do, this is the kind of display you get in Windows 8 and 10. Now, here's a list of all of the programs that are in your startup file and whether they have high, medium, none, or low effect on your computer. So you can go through, and when you select one of these programs, you're looking for the disable down at the bottom to light up so you can disable it. So as you can see, I have quite a few of these programs in my computer. This is taken off my Windows 10 that I have enabled, and quite a few that I've disabled. And of course, you don't see the complete list yet. So this is how you clean up your startup folder. Again, after you do one of these startup cleanups, you have to restart your computer. Notice my BIOS time is 13.7 seconds. All right, delete programs that you no longer need, or you no longer use, or you have no idea why they're there in the first place. But you got to be careful when you do this, because you don't want to mess with programs that actually make your computer run. If you don't know what a program is, you don't use it, you don't know why it's there, then what you need to do is Google it. As an example, I Googled Epson Status Monitor 3 startup, and Google came back with many people who said the same thing. It has no purpose. Get rid of it. You can use programs and features from your control panel to uninstall programs, change programs, or repair programs. So if you're running Windows 7 or 8.1 and 10, you can go to the control panel. You can type in the Windows logo key +X, select control panel, go to programs and features, select a program, click uninstall. And I'm going to show you a picture of what that looks like. This is programs and features, control panel. You can see at the top, control panel, all control panel items, programs and features. And what you have a list is the programs that are on your computer. If you select one of those programs, as the blue line here shows you, then you can get an uninstall, a change, or a repair. Sometimes all three of these show up, sometimes only one shows up. Again, if you don't know what the program is, take the program name, Google it, find out what it is. If you're looking at this programs and features list on your computer and you see, as an example, something that says, and it has no publisher's name, it will always have a date of when it's installed, and it has no size, and it has no version or any other information. All it is a name over here and a date. I would consider that a suspect program that you should find out why it's on your computer and take it off. I don't use programs and features. And the reason is because programs and features is a two-step process. Right? I use Revo Uninstaller. You can get it off the Minick website. It's under utilities, and I've been using Revo Uninstaller for years. And the reason I use it is because it's a 4-step process. And it sets a restore point. So if you screw up, you can always restore back. It runs uninstall that came with the program. It searches for leftover registry and files on your hard drive or your SSD. Now, sometimes when you're in the middle of a Revo 4-step process, the process will actually kick you out to the internet, and you'll go to the website of the people that own that program you're getting rid of. And of course, they'll say, why are you doing this? Give us a good reason. Oh, please don't take this program off your computer. I immediately X out of that and finish the 4 steps before I go and do anything else. Also, I always do 3 uninstalls, and then I restart my computer and see if everything's all right. Then I go back into Revo Uninstaller and do 3 more. Why? Because if you do more than 3 and then you go back and restart your computer and it doesn't restart, you don't know. It's harder to find out what's causing the problem. And this is what Revo Uninstaller looks like. I use the free version, been using it for years. And again, you click on a line that shows you the information. And if you double click it, it'll say, do you want to uninstall this? And you say, yes, I do. And then it says, do you want to have the 3 different values of uninstall? And I always pick the one that says moderate. And then I let it go through its 4-step process of taking that program off my computer. System restore point. A system restore point is not a fix-all. A system restore point will, in fact, help when you have certain problems that are created by downloading software onto your computer. And if you've never done a system restore point, when your computer is looking good, go ahead and do one, so that when you have to do one, it's not under stress. Oh, I've done this before. Click, 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 and you got it done. You can revert your computer's state, and it gets rid of stuff that your computer's done, not that you have done. If you do a restore point, you do not screw up your pictures, your other files that you created on your computer. It only takes care of those installation apps, system files, registry, etc., back to a previous time. Anytime I'm ready to make a major change to my computer, the first thing I do is set a restore point. And when you set a restore point yourself, you can call it anything you want. Let me give you an example. I'm going to now, as an example, change out the printer I have and get me a new printer and put it on my computer. I will set a restore point. And then I'll go through the process of putting that thing on my computer. So if I screw up somewhere along the lines, I'm not disabled. Yes, Windows does create restore points automatically every time they do an update on your computer. When you're, set a restore point when your PC is healthy and will not delete files. Again, if you need some help because you just don't feel right about doing a restore point, you can go to this How to Geek website, and it covers, even though it says Windows Vista, which is misleading, it covers Windows 7, 8.1, and 10. All three systems on how to do a restore point, step by step with pictures. Good stuff. All right. Again, you can get support Microsoft to help you out in this area for Windows 7 and 8.1, and also for Windows 10. There's the two Microsoft support websites. Security. Yeah, security is a big issue, and in fact, I got an email this morning that said I need to give them all this information because my banking has been shut down. Well, that wasn't true, but security is critical. I like to maintain my own security. I like to be in charge of my own security. I'm not going to leave that to somebody else. And I understand what I call the malware cycle, okay? If I'm a hacker and I make a malware program and I want to put it on the internet, then your antivirus company discovers that malware and they make a fix, and that usually takes more than a couple hours, okay? And then that fix gets sent out to you as an update, and then the next time you turn on your computer, the update is installed. So what's the time lapse? The malware cycle says everybody's going to get malware. I don't care how much you pay or how good the software is, your antivirus software is not 100% foolproof. And whether you're paying for an antivirus or you take the free ones, you know, this has been a long-standing battle between different groups. I do not pay for an antivirus. I use the one that comes with Microsoft, and it's changed its name a couple times. It's now called Windows Defender, but I use it. I make sure my firewall's turned on, and if I think I have a problem, I run one of those scans that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. When I get on my computer, if I'm going to be on the internet, which I am anyway most of the time, the first thing I do is check my antivirus and see if it's up to date. This is a hole in the system that a lot of people aren't aware of. It's called logging onto your PC as an administrator. The fact of the matter is, Microsoft says you should not log on to your PC as an administrator. You only need to do that during certain times. And that's what user account control is all about. If you log in as an administrator on your computer, then a hacker can do everything that an administrator can do on your computer when he hops on your internet connection. So a user account allows you to sign into your computer, and actually you in Windows 10 you have two administrative accounts on a brand new computer. You can create a separate user account for each person who uses the computer, and when you do that, what you have is they all have their separate desktop and their separate settings, their separate files for pictures and videos and games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like one computer being multiple computers for multiple people. And these are Microsoft words right out of Microsoft website. Don't log on as an administrator. So an administrator makes changes to the system completely, and you can manage anybody else's account. You have full access to all the settings and all the accounts. And you got to have at least one administrator account, otherwise how can Microsoft give you updates automatically? A standard account is, you cannot make changes to the system settings or other people's accounts. And if you try to do something like download a program or make a change to the computer, like going into Revo Uninstaller or programs and features, etc., okay, and you're on a standard account, then what pops up is a thing that says, give me the administrator's password. I'm going to show you pictures of this coming up shortly. If you download a program called Windows Command Processor or whatever the program name is, and this kind of box window pops up in the middle of your screen and it says, do you want to allow this app, yes or no, then you're logged in as an administrator. But if, when you go to make a change to your computer, like downloading paint.net, and it says, we'll allow you to do this if you can give us the administrator's password, then you're logged in as a standard user. On my laptop PC, I have an administrator account, and then my standard user account is called Jere Standard. So this is what it looks like in Windows 7 and 8.1. And as you can see, Jere Standard user and Jere A administrator, and then a guest. Oh, by the way, Microsoft did away with the guest account on Windows 10. This is what it looks like in user account control for Windows 10, and this is the creator update. So if you go to accounts, and then I'm going to show you step by step quickly how you get through this in Windows 10 and making a local account. And the pictures are available, and it's not hard. First off, you got to open up settings, and we're going to be in accounts, and you're going to see family and other people, and you click on that, and it comes up with add someone else. That's where you want to go. All right, and so you click on add someone else, and then it's going to come up and say, we want this person to have a Microsoft account. You go, no, this person I wanted to add doesn't have an email address. I just want to add them as. So you're saying to Microsoft, no, not everybody that belongs to this or uses this computer has to be a Microsoft account person. And then it comes up with this display and it says create the account, and this is where you have to fill it in. So you put in your user's name. What I put in was Jere Standard. And then I entered a password again to make sure I had it straight. And then I put in a password hint. And then I clicked on next, and I got me a standard account. Now when I go back to settings and accounts and your info, I don't see that over here on the left-hand side. I see Jere Standard local account. Protection for your PC. So I have some recommendations. Things to do when your PC is healthy. Set a restart point. Clean out your startup file. Download and run Seekleader at least weekly. Update apps, drivers, and programs. Perform disk cleanup. Run updates on your antivirus program. Check it frequently. Make sure it is updated. And oh my word, I still got 1 minute left. But that's my presentation on Tune Up Your Computer. Again, if anybody wants a copy of this, you need to email me. I will be traveling Tuesday of this coming week, and probably be traveling for about 7 or 8 days, but I will be in contact on the internet every evening from my hotel room. And David, do we have any questions?
Yes, as soon as I unmute myself. Okay, as I said, we not too many people typing in. We got 2. They're talking about do a disk cleanup on an SSD.
Yes. Yes. Because an SSD is a storage device, and it stores away a lot of junk and a lot of files that aren't necessary for you to have a high-performance PC.
Okay. Does removing the setup logs and disk cleanup affect uninstalling programs later?
Run that by me one more time, please.
Okay, remember the top thing in the check was the setup logs. Does removing setup logs and the disk cleanup affect uninstalling programs later?
No, it does not.
Okay. So that doesn't have anything to do with...
That's right.
Okay.